with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The walls feel like they are closing in.
The walls closing around the president.
Donald Trump feels the walls closing in.
I think this is a guy who feels like the walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in on him.
Because the walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in on the president.
Now the walls appear to be closing in.
Really kind of the walls closing in on him.
The walls are closing in because the walls are indeed closing in.
I think at this point the walls are spinning.
The legal walls are closing in. The walls are closing in on President Trump.
The walls, meanwhile, are closing in on the President of the United States.
The walls closing in on President Donald Trump.
It appears that the walls are closing in on this president.
It feels that the walls are closing in on him.
The walls closing in on him.
The walls are closing in.
And the walls are closing in.
That the walls are closing in on the president.
Are the walls closing in?
The walls are closing in on the presidency.
It says as the walls begin to close around him. The political walls closing in on him.
This is a president that feels the walls closing in.
The walls are closing in on Donald Trump.
I think the walls are finally closing in.
The walls.
The walls. The walls.
The walls. The walls.
Walls and the walls.
The walls. The walls.
The walls are
Closing in.
Closing in.
Closing in.
Closing in on.
Closing in.
The walls are closing in on President Donald Trump.
He's not looking forward to any of it. He's horrified. He's just talking big. The walls are closing in, as has been said before.
Trump administration is arguably the most influential this century and probably as well dating back a good portion of the last century as well. Love it, like it, lump it. Trump is remaking the United States of America. Let's talk about tariffs first, right? There's all this talk that Donald Trump always chickens out when it comes to tariffs. No tacos for Trump. The effective tariff rate, get this, it's 18%, the highest since the FDR administration in the 1930s, up from, get this, just 2% last year. From just 2% last year, we're talking about a level, an effective tariff rate level, get this, 9 times as high this year than last year. But it's not just on tariffs, which of course Donald Trump ran on, in which you're seeing a tremendously influential presidency. What about immigration? Of course, Trump ran and has always run on a very hawkish immigration platform. Get this, 2025 net migration in the United States down at least 60% from last year. In fact, we may be heading for the first time in at least 50 years in which we have net negative migration into the United States. And last year, of course, in 2024, the net migration in the U.S. was 2.8 million. This year, we might be talking about negative net migration. My goodness gracious. Now, of course, this is part of the larger story, as I was mentioning. We're talking about immigration, net migration. We're talking about the effective tariff rate. But get this, how is Donald Trump doing it? Well, he is signing a ton of executive orders. Get this, 180, the most in a year since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Oh my goodness, you have to go back to the first half of the 20th century, the last century, and to make a comparison, Joe Biden signed, get this, just 77 during his entire first year, and we're only a little bit in August so far, and Donald Trump making history with 180 executive orders signed so far this year. So that's why I said that in my mind, Donald Trump is the most influential president of this century and probably dating back a good portion of the last century. That is because he is remaking the country in terms of tariffs. He is remaking the country in terms of net migration, and he is remaking the country in terms of how much policy changes he's putting through in executive orders. As I said, it truly is history making. Love it, like it, or lump it. This sort of gives the game away here because Donald Trump is like Air Jordan towering over Joe Biden when it comes to their handling of crime. Look, in 2024, look at where Biden's net approval was on crime. Way underwater there at minus 26 points. It was one of Biden's worst issues. Granted, pretty much every issue was one of Biden's worst issues. And again, look at where Donald Trump is. Way above Joe Biden. What is that? That's 27 points. So Americans vastly prefer Donald Trump's approach to crime than they did to Joe Biden's. And again, I think it gets back to the point that Americans are far more hawkish on crime than a lot of Democrats want to admit.
No tacos for Trump. I heard that right. The walls are closing in. No, the walls are being built slowly, but it's being built. You know, there is nothing I find more pleasing than to listen to the left-wing media have to come back and tell you the truth, especially CNN. I mean, think about it. All they have told you leading up to recently is doom and gloom. Tomorrow, the sun is going to explode because of Donald Trump. Then tomorrow rolls around and the sun's still there. The sky's going to fall. But then the time comes and passes and the sky's still there. Well, then you have no choice. You have to come back on air and talk about the facts, the truth that you've been hiding from the American people. And when I hear CNN correcting it and actually telling you how great things are now becoming, well, for the liberals and the Democrats up in Washington, D.C., that's the last thing you need, is to lose them as a talking point, because Nick at Night and Barney the Purple Dinosaur Show has more viewership than anybody on MSNBC, for crying out loud. Anyhow, you had many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. I thank you very, very much. Whether you're watching me tonight live on the YouTube channel or Rumble or X, formerly Twitter, or LinkedIn or our Facebook page, please like, subscribe to the show, share it with your family and friends. Make sure you let them know that if they have little ones in the room, every now and then Mr. Doug says a bad word, or, 20, depending on what night it is. So to, keep the volume down or watch it after the kiddos are fast asleep. We're going to talk tonight about a lot about arrests that are taking place with ICE, as well as crime, illegal gangs, and recent gangs that have been arrested in LA. And it's stunning that the left and the Democrats up in Washington, D.C. continue to support that and are against law and order. But before we dive into that, my guest tonight is the National Director and co-founder of the Remembrance Project, Maria Espinosa. As the organization's national spokesperson, Maria speaks in interviews across the country dedicated to the mission of the Remembrance Project. She has worked as a volunteer for over 15 years, informing the public with the truth in order to save lives and to bring some measure to justice to American families whose loved ones were killed by illegal aliens. In 2015, Maria introduced the Angel Moms, Dads, and Angel family members to now President Donald J. Trump. We're in keeping his promise to her that if elected, he would do more for Angel families, and he created the Office of Voice, Victims of Immigration Crime, and Engagement upon taking office. And with that, Maria, welcome back to the show, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me on. And you say a couple bad words? I don't believe that.
Well, I don't know if you caught Tuesday night show, but I kind of went way off the deep end. My poor wife was just like, no, you're not going there. I'm like, look, it is what it is. If we can't call it out for what it is, then we're part of the problem.
I understand. Completely understand.
Every now and then I say a couple of bad words. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, as best as we expected, I think.
It's been a while since we've seen each other, and since Trump's back in office now, we got a long way to go. And,
I know we do, but yes, but we are winning. You're right.
Yeah, the wins just keep going up, and I want to see that wall go up faster, and there's so many things we can be doing, and I hope that we will be doing in the future, and some things I'm working on as well that we've done in the past to try and get more things done faster. And we can get that wall up and finished in this term. So if nothing else, it's got to be done before we end up in a situation where one day, because it will happen, the Democrats will be back in control again. And when that takes place, then, we all know what happens. So
exactly. We'll be invaded again.
Exactly. Yep. So tell us what's going on.
Yes, well, listen, we are gearing up for the Remembrance Month. As you recall, President Trump in October of 2020 signed a proclamation for us declaring the National Day of Remembrance for Americans killed by illegal aliens. Well, the Remembrance Project has extended that to a month-long remembrance, Douglas. And we absolutely need a month-long look at. We just had 7 people in the last 3 weeks being killed by illegal aliens. So the numbers are increasing, and again, we don't even talk about the crimes like child molestation and rapes and the fentanyl deaths. We should probably include the fentanyl deaths as well, but we focus on the vicious attacks and killings by illegal aliens. But yes, so we're asking your listeners to go onto our Facebook page at Stolen Lives QLT, that stands for Stolen Lives Quilt. Those are the banners that we have made to connect the dots and show the images and the faces, the names of these precious citizens who are no longer with us. So share the Stolen Lives Quilt banners, go on our website. Douglas, we also have a petition. We've asked President Trump to sign a declaration for the Remembrance Month for Americans killed by illegal aliens. So we gave that to Stephen Miller a month and a half ago. So sign the petition, everyone, and let's remember those who are no longer with us.
Yeah. So all your social media sites. Let's see. You're on Facebook. You're on X. I know because I tagged you tonight for coming on the show. Do you guys have a YouTube channel? You do a podcast now, don't you?
Yes, we do have a YouTube channel, the Remembrance Project. YouTube, every now and then they feel the need to take our videos down. So I do have a podcast, the All American Maria Espinosa. It's on Rumble. So All American Maria, that's a play on words. I'm an All American Myler, Douglas. I don't know if you knew that. But yes, it's on there. We've got some good videos there with law enforcement and attorneys and, some of the angel families as well, and just constitutional attorneys and all. Just get the information out there. We're also on Truth Social as well. So you can find Maria Espinosa on Truth Social and the Remembrance Project.
Excellent. And so we want all of our viewers to, after tonight's show, go there, show your support, sign that petition, please. The more we can get this out there, the better. And there's nothing more important than showing your support for angel families. That's part of my life these days, part of my soul. Maria and I were talking about how crazy prior to coming on tonight, the left has become, and this has been going on for quite some time with the Remembrance Project. But folks, I want you to, I'm going to share this with you so you can understand how hateful the left is. All right. Here's an organization that does everything they can to support angel families and shine a light on the illegal criminal activity that's happening, that's come across our border and endangered and killed and raped and done horrible things to Americans. And their whole purpose is to be positive and uplifting and help these poor people that have been inflicted by this invasion. And the Southern Poverty Law Center designates them a hate group. Now, That should show you how sick the left is when they can take an organization like this that does nothing but good, positive things for American citizens and those that have been affected by this horrible crime and turn it into something that it's not and try and convince you that it's something that it's not. How I'm not on their hate group yet, I don't know. I would like them to do it. If you're listening tonight, Southern Poverty Law Center, please. It might help me get more subscribers if you list me as a hate group, especially after Tuesday night show.
Yes, we consider it a badge of honor, Douglas. So we know what they're about, and we are being a voice for the victims, those who no longer have a voice. And again, we've been here over 15 years. So, and I really truly believe that because President Trump has embraced our organization, this issue, this illegal immigration issue, specifically the killings by illegal aliens, 100% preventable, that we've changed the narrative for the immigration period in the country. So, it's not just, they're just here to do the work that nobody will do, or which is terrible. You've spoken with Angel Dan Goldvatch. I mean, his son, who was killed by an illegal alien, shot in the head as he waited at a stoplight, minding his own business. He was an entrepreneur. He built out his own private rooms for guitar lessons. So yes, our families need these jobs. Our families need to know that their government is standing behind them and that the rule of law still exists in this country. You can see what's going on and has gone on in Chicago and the major cities. And look, President Trump is cleaning up Washington, D.C. When we lived there, I did feel unsafe when I was living there.
Yeah. And it's going to expand. We're talking tonight. We're going to be talking about what's recently just took place in L.A. And then, yes, they're going to go to Chicago. They're going to go to New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Philadelphia. ICE is going to go in there and they're going to take care of this issue. And thankfully, we've got men and women signing up to be ICE agents in record numbers. They're having to turn people away that are fully qualified because they're overwhelmed. And that's one of the best things.
Well, let me say this too. For the last 4 years, we have supported the Texas sheriffs, and they are elected sheriffs. So I encourage all of your viewers to, encourage their county sheriffs to do more, to join the 287G program and help the Trump administration. He can't do it all alone. Tom Homan can't do it by himself either. So we need locally, that's where it starts. We need all your listeners to place pressure and demand that their communities are safe, and for the sheriffs to coordinate and conduct this 287G program.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. And I tell my listeners all the time, listen, you've got to be actively involved. You have to go to their social media pages. You have to go to their websites. You have to send them emails. Be polite, but get your point across that we have to do something. They have to do something. They took an oath to this country, and they need to uphold that oath. And sadly, we have too many elected officials that, once they get into office, they kind of turn a blind eye on a lot of the things that they said they were going to do. And that it's up to us to hold their feet to the fire and make sure that, like I've said, and Maria, I know you've heard me say this many times before as well, that just because Republicans are back in charge at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in the House and the Senate, that's not the time to sit back and relax. No, that's the time to dig in deeper, because now we have to hold them accountable and make sure they do what they promised they would do for angel families, with the border, with law enforcement, with our military, with things for the economy. We have to make sure they're going to do it. And if they're not doing it, then we have to vote them out. But
exactly.
Now is not the time to sit back. And so many people do this. It just drives me crazy. They go, oh, well, we won, all right. And then they think it's over with. And so they're not paying attention anymore to what's really going on. And so we try and blame that to people,
You recall, Doug, when President Trump first won, we had the House, the Senate, and President Trump was at the helm. And the Republicans stopped him. So Paul Ryan was no friend of the American people or President Trump. So you're right. This is the time that we push very hard. And it starts locally. We have the midterms coming up, and we're preparing for that as well. So, we're asking people to email to me at maria@theremembranceproject.org, and we will mail a banner, a 6-foot-long banner to you, and you can place those in your town hall meetings, wherever, any meeting, but especially when those candidates come around, and you point to that banner and you ask them, will they help save the lives of the citizens in their own community, so that we're not having any more angel families, Doug. And that's the beauty of this, that we can take action locally. But not enough people, I think, are really holding these candidates to account, and that's what we need most of all right now.
Yeah, you're right. They're not. And sadly, too many on the right believe that once we have control again, then their job's over with, and their job is just started. It's not over with.
And what really makes me a little nervous when I hear people say that the border is secured. Well, if President Trump is in office and the illegal aliens understand that if they try to come across, then they're going to get turned around, they're going straight back, and the thousands of dollars that they pay to the cartels is down the tubes. So, but the ones who are coming in, I spoke to a sheriff just 10 days ago, and he mentioned that the bailouts, which are these carloads of illegal aliens, there's a police chase, and they bail out of the vehicles and they spread into the community. So those guys are still out there and coming across, and those guys are the really bad ones, because they're not going to these ports of entry or up to an agent and giving themselves up. So they're the ones who are really backed by the cartels, and the cartels really want them here. So where we're not getting the crossings because daddy's home,
right.
That wall has to be finished. We saw what happened when the Biden administration took over. We saw what happened when Obama was in office. That wall has to be finished, Douglas. And I think all of your listeners need not stop and just push even harder right now.
I agree 100%, Maria. Maria, thank you very, very much for coming on tonight and sharing all this with us. And folks, I will put in the community section after tonight's show all the links that she talked about a while ago, where you can go to. You'll be able to click on them directly and go to the website, all their different links, and be a part of this and sign that petition.
Thank you, and God bless you, and ask for prayers for all the families out there who are hurting to this day. So God bless you for everything that you're doing, Douglas. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. God bless you, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
What a wonderful lady. I've had the opportunity to meet Maria in person back when we were heavily down on the border doing a lot of stuff down there, the documentaries and so forth. And she introduced me to some of the angel families. And of course, when we went up to Washington, D.C., we met many more angel families. And that's how I kind of got involved with that. And, I had them on the show before. Maria's been on the show several times. Dan, that we talked about a while ago, he's been on the show several times. He's a personal friend of mine. And a great musician too, by the way. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the videos I put up, but he's a great musician. And his son Spencer was sadly killed by an illegal alien in Texas for just random. The guy just wanted to kill somebody, and It's that kind of stuff that lights a fire under me, and it should to everyone. But sadly, it doesn't to the left, and it doesn't to the Democrats up in Washington, D.C. So we will have Maria on again, I'm sure, in the future, as well as other Angel family members, and we will keep pushing this issue because, like I said, now's not the time to stop. Now's the time to dig in deeper and keep putting it out there to let people know what's going on. And so we're going to do that as well tonight. Speaking of illegal immigrants, ICE agents yesterday hauled in some of the worst illegal immigrants convicted of horrible, horrible crimes against children. Part of an ongoing federal effort to target violent offenders living in the U.S. unlawfully, Homeland Security Secretary said under President Donald J. Trump and Department of Homeland Secretary Kristen Noman, ICE is prioritizing arresting pedophiles, abusers, and sexual predators, not the person who came across the border illegally and they haven't committed any other crimes like the left is trying to make you believe is happening. No, they're prioritizing who they're going after. It's those that rape women and children. Horrible, horrible, despicable humans, murderers, child sex traffickers, and drug cartels, gang members. And the left wants to give them a pass. I don't get it. The Assistant Homeland Security Secretary McLaughlin said 70% of ICE agents target illegal immigrants who have criminal convictions or pending criminal charges in the U.S. And this was all known by the Biden administration. They're the ones that let them loose. Department of Homeland Security is sending a clear message to illegal aliens. If you prey on children, if you victimize the innocent, ICE will find you, arrest you, and remove you from the country. Personally, I think they should be putting a straitjacket, castorized, and locked up for a while in a very dark, dingy place before you deport them. According to the Department of Homeland Security, some of the illegal immigrants arrested by ICE on Wednesday included Juan Ortiz Mora, an illegal Mexican national who was previously convicted of 2 counts of indecency with a child in Texas. Ronald Tabaco of Ecuador, previously convicted of aggravated indecent assault of a child under the age of 16 in Pennsylvania. Lindy Lorenas Rapello, an illegal immigrant from Honduras, has been convicted of 2 counts of child abuse in Nebraska. Jeremy Juan Morales Jose, a Mexican national, was previously convicted of possession of obscene material depicting minors having sex with adults in California. And Juan Espino Esamela, an illegal immigrant from Mexico who was previously convicted of sexual assault of women and children in Reno, Nevada. And the left and the Democrats up in Washington, D.C. want to give them a pass. I can't wrap my head around this. Why they're against going after these horrible, despicable people. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And look, the fact they're doing it, the fact they're doubling down on stupid and doubling down on everything that caused them to lose in a landslide, the House, the Senate, and 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, is going to cause them to lose at midterms in a landslide. And they're going to be like, what did we do wrong? Well, you stayed with the exact same talking points. They're all lies. None of it's true. And finally, CNN, like we showed you in the opening night show, having to admit that Donald Trump is doing great things. And all the gloom and doom that they claim was going to happen with the tariffs, with crime, with the economy, it was all smoke and mirrors. It was a lie. And look, that's a good thing to see CNN admitting it. And so I get a thrill to be able to share those kind of clips with you, to push it right in these liberals' faces. Here's CNN, your golden children of media, telling you how great Trump is doing. I mean, hopefully we can get MSNBC to do the same thing before they go off the air completely. Whether or not that's going to happen, I don't know, because I just see them doubling down. I mean, they continue to dig a hole for themselves. When children's programs are getting more viewership than a national news organization, that should tell you all you need to know. Nobody is watching MSNBC except for the far left and those that have lost their damn minds. Okay, for decades, the infamous Ferrara Street corridor in downtown Los Angeles has been a seedy haven for sex workers and human trafficking. In a new effort to take down a particular horrible gang that runs a sex ring in the area, the federal government and Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, executed a sweeping pre-dawn bust targeting 11 suspects wanted for drugging, raping, and selling women and children as young as 14 years old. That is some sick shit. And the governor of California is against them being arrested. He doesn't understand why we would do such a thing. The bust was partnership between the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and LAPD. The feds say members of the Hoover gang brazenly posted pictures on social media with stacks of cash, designer clothes, and cars to lure vulnerable women into sex work with the promise of a lavish lifestyle. Instead, the 150-page criminal complaint says women ended up enslaved in a human sex trafficking enterprise in which they were beaten, raped, and sold for sex. Operation Broken Blade successfully took into custody 10 of the 11 of its target. The one suspect that got away is 31-year-old Brian Israel, managed to flee and remains at large tonight. But he's considered a fugitive by the Department of Justice, which is actively searching for him. Federal investigators say female, which you see up there, Amanda Armstead, who goes by the street name Lady Duck, was a lead target and prolific human trafficker. Arrested, Lady Duck is even tattooed on her latest victim's body. She tattooed her name on their body. The criminal complaint alleges one incident when she posted a video of herself beating a woman, holding her down by the hair, repeatedly kicking and kneeing her. As the woman shouts, "Please stop, I'm pregnant." But the defendant continued to beat her at a downtown motel, which the feds allege is a site that the gang used to sell women and minors. Federal agents surrounded one of their 11 suspects and took them into custody. Police say during the operation, they also were able to rescue 4 victims, including minor children. The defendants are charged with various crimes, including sex trafficking of minors, sex trafficking through force, fraud, cohesion, drug trafficking, gun charges, according to the complaint. And hopefully each will spend decades in prison, locked the hell away forever, or at least until Democrats take back control again and give them back their freedom, which is sad, but it's factual. So I'm sure you have all heard what's coming out of the mouth of Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, when it comes to what ICE is doing in LA, for instance. And Newsom wants to be president. He wants to run for president. And watch me. Watch what I'm telling you. He's going to put his name in the ring soon. And he is 100% anti-ICE and anti-enforcement of illegal aliens, regardless of the crimes they commit. That's a sick human being. Anyone who turns a blind eye to these horrible crimes that are committed by these folks, or these gang members that aren't from south of the border, which we just showed you, they all appear to be African American to me. Anyone who thinks it's okay for them to continue doing this, there should be a special law that puts them in jail, in my personal opinion, because that's just sick. And that's not the kind of person we need running around in charge of anything in our government. And Gavin Newsom is the governor of California, and soon to be putting his hat in the ring to be president of the United States. U.S. Border Patrol agents had a strong presence outside an anti-Trump rally that was held by California Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom in Los Angeles today. That's right. The governor of California held an anti-Trump rally to talk about all the horrible things Trump's doing and how he's going after illegal aliens that have done nothing wrong other than, because, he wants a sanctuary state. He wants them to be over here. He's not realizing, or at least admitting, he knows, but he's not admitting that they're going after rapists and murderers and drug traffickers, and that's who they're going after. Yes, in the process of that, if somebody happens to be just the only crime is they're here illegally, then they're going to go too, all right? But so he held this rally today, and the agents showed up. The agents made arrest Newsom, who is rumored to have presidential aspirations and has become one of the most outspoken critics of President Trump, held the event, which was labeled Liberation Day, to announce plans to respond to the GOP's redistricting push in Texas. We reported on that here. In a social media post shortly before the rally, Newsom predicted that Donald Trump and Texas Governor Greg Abbott are going to have a very bad day today. Video taken by local affiliate Fox 11 and obtained by Fox News showed what appeared to be over a dozen armed Border Patrol agents and ICE agents just outside the rally. The agents could be seen leading a man away in handcuffs as onlookers shouted angrily at them, yelling things such as, "Los Angeles is a sanctuary city. You can't do this." Asked what his message to Newsom was, and this was, let me back up, Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bambino explained, "We're here making Los Angeles a safer place. Since we have politicians who will not help us make it a safer place, that's what we're going to do. We got to do it ourselves. That's what we're here for today. As you can see, already making it safer," he said. The Border Patrol chief also added, "We're glad to be here. We're not going away anytime soon." Asked what his message to Newsom was, he answered, again, "We're making Los Angeles a safer place. We're going to continue to do that. And they can take that one to the bank and cash it." In response to the federal agent's presence, Newsom's office emailed Fox News Digital a statement in all capital letters. We will not be intimidated by weak little Donald Trump, the criminal president. During the event, Newsom's press team posted on X that Trump's private army is illegally on private property. During his remarks, Newsom even acknowledged the federal agents, saying right outside this exact moment are dozens and dozens of ICE agents. Of course, all the illegal aliens in the rally, which was 90% of the people there, started to soil their pants. Do you think it's you think it's coincidence? He remarked. Donald Trump and his minions, Tom Homan, tough guy, decide or not that this was a location for an ICE raid? Indiscriminate? Perhaps. We'll find out later. Wake up, America. This is a serious moment. Wake up to what's going on. Wake up to the fear, anxiety. Wake up to what's happening, not just here in Los Angeles, where we saw our streets militarized, where we saw our due process rights thrown out the window, he said. That's Trump's America. That's the moment we're living in. So these are somber times. Gavin Newsom, you are an absolute disgrace to California and to America. Nothing but lies, just like every single Democrat up in Washington, D.C., in the House and the Senate. They're just a bunch of buffoons that they wouldn't know how to tell the truth if you were standing there to throat punch them. They couldn't do it. They refuse. They know the truth. It's not that they don't know. They know exactly that Donald Trump is kicking ass in America and doing everything we elected him to do. He's in there for a reason. We voted him in there and voted for the House, voted for the Senate for Republicans to be in charge to fix this crap that Biden-Harris put us in. And it's a win for Trump. So anything that's a win for Trump, they're going to spin it in a negative way, which they're doing. And thankfully, we see, for instance, CNN having to come out and admit that it was all wrong. All the doom and gloom was all wrong. When we told you that the sun was going to explode tomorrow at 12 noon because of Donald Trump, and tomorrow at 12 noon rolled around and the sun was still there, we have to come out and admit that we just made that shit up. And it goes to say with everything they do. And where it's the worst is on YouTube. YouTube has some very, very, very disturbed far left liberal nut jobs that are like smoking Hunter Biden crack. Their brains are warped into spreading shit that's just, none of it's factual. It's all lies. And I don't go looking for it, but I have liberal friends that send me the links all the time and go, oh, look at this, Doug. Look what he just put out. Look at that. There's the truth. And I watch it and go, are you fucking kidding me? Really? You believe that? You actually believe what this guy is telling you? Well, look, he's got over 1 million followers. What the hell does that mean? Those 1 million followers are sheep. They're dumb. They can't do their own homework. They're absolutely idiots, like the person that you're listening to telling you this stuff. And you don't have the brains to figure that out? To realize you're being lied to? Hell, use ChatGPT for crying out loud. Anytime somebody on the left on social media spews out some kind of bullshit, hell, you can download it on your phone, okay? Here, let me show it to you. It's an app. It's called ChatGPT. Download that on your phone. And anything the left says, so this is AI basically. Anything the left says, put it in there with a question mark and watch what pops up. They can't get away from their lies. I will keep calling it out. And now AI is going to help us call it out. I mean, you already have Google to see they're full of shit. And then you have me to prove they're full of shit by sharing with you videos like we do of the left admitting they're wrong, which is very, very far and few that are willing to do that. But you got to give kudos where kudos are due. So for a brief moment, my hat's off to CNN for coming around and realizing that we have to report factual shit now, or we won't have a network anymore. We'll be in the tank just like MSNBC is. We either report what's really happening with the Trump administration, with the illegal criminals, with the drugs, with the sex trafficking, with the border issues, with our military, with law enforcement, with the economy, with tariffs. Either we start telling the truth or go find another job. And they finally realize that. So good to them. Now, speaking of the left, now I say the left, this, because that's the only people I think would be so stupid to do what we're fixing to talk about. I don't think that a conservative or Republican or an independent or even a Democrat that has a family and goes to work and tries to put food on the table and raise their kids would be dumb enough to do this. But those far left liberals, nearly 4 years after the Afghanistan fall to the Taliban control, the Islamic country is welcoming tourists and seeing a recent travel boost. Taliban forces captured the capital city of Kabul back on August 15th, 2021, as we reported on, following the chaotic withdrawal of American troops under the Biden administration. Deputy Minister of Tourism for Afghanistan, I can't even pronounce his freaking name, Qudraullah, Jamal. I got Jamal right. Let's just say towel wrapped too hard. Told the Associated Press, we all love them, don't we, that Afghanistan had nearly 9,000 foreign visitors last year, with 3,000 tourists in the first 3 months of this year. Tourism brings many benefits to our country, he said. We have considered these benefits and aim for our nation to take full advantage of them. One of the first Afghan female tour guides recently led a group through the National Museum of Afghanistan. The group consisted of all women. Suzanne Sandrell, an Australian in the group, told the AP she was surprised. It's not what I expected at all. I expected to feel rather fearful. I expected to be given a lot of horrible looks, but not at all, she said. Wherever you go in the streets, if you smile at someone, they give you a little nod or say hello. You get a terrific response. So it's very different. Another woman in the group posted videos on a recent trip in June on TikTok. She captioned the video exploring the nuisance and complex lives of Afghan women in context and exploring all the beautiful land has to offer. The U.S. State Department, however, is very clear. It lists travel to Afghanistan as a travel advisory level 4, which is the highest level of danger. Do not travel. Warning of civil unrest, crime, terrorism, risk of wrongful detention, kidnapping, and limited health facilities. U.S. citizen travelers to Afghanistan have been wrongfully detained for months or even years, says the State Department. We remind all U.S. citizen travelers that no adventure or vacation is worth the price of your freedom or your life. Other traveler influencers and regular tourists have shared their experiences on social media, with most showing the Taliban-run country in a positive light. A travel photographer posted a recap of her trip, saying she was one of the first tourists to visit the country after the Taliban took it over. She added a TikTok video that has been viewed now over 56,000 times. I was completely blown away by the incredible hospitality of the locals. Amazing food and beautiful scenery. A popular solo traveler and social media creator posted a video of his trip to Afghanistan, writing, "I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about Afghanistan travel, but honestly, I had an amazing time there as a solo traveler." Another TikToker that amassed nearly 500,000 likes shows an Australian traveler shopping at a food market. "Some of the best food I've ever had in all my travels was in Afghanistan," she posted in the video. Maziza Bahari, ambassador to Afghanistan, told Fox News Digital the Taliban promotion of tourism is an attempt at image management. As someone who has lived and worked in Afghanistan, I can say this. What these female influencers experience is not repressive of women's lives or representative of women's lives in Afghanistan. The Taliban treat foreign women differently and often with politeness because they serve a purpose in the regime's public relations strategy. The United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan released its human rights report this past May, pointing out that Afghan women are being denied the opportunity to work and are unable to access services without a male relative. And girls are no longer allowed to go to school anymore. And they must cover their entire faces and body with burqas. The State Department wrote in its 2024 country reports on human rights practices documented that treatment of women has become progressively worse in Afghanistan. New reports stated that it has been further restricted access to education, employment, and freedom of movement for all women and girls, effectively removing them from public spaces. By showcasing scenic landscape and hospitality towards foreign visitors, especially influencers on TikTok and YouTube, they aim to create a narrative of stability and openness, he said, noting that they've seen a growing disconnect in global travel culture when it comes to adventure tourism. The thrill of visiting the forbidden or untouched often outweigh concerns of human rights. It's become a form of voyeurism, one that prioritizes personal experiences over the realities of those that live under oppression. Kelly Kura, former U.S. ambassador to UN's Economic and Social Council, discussed the dangers of visiting Afghanistan, saying Americans should buy travel insurance if you're going to go there, because the United States is unable to provide services if something happens to you, especially if you are kidnapped and sold or given to extremist terrorist groups. Adam Duckworth, Travel Nation president and founder, told Fox News Digital that travel companies take State Department advisories very seriously. As a combat veteran against Muslim terrorists, listen to the State Department. The last place you need to be taking a vacation is to Afghanistan or Iran or Iraq. If you're considering traveling to a location in these higher risks, then you do your research to understand why those places are on the damn list, Duckworth said. While Afghanistan is breathtakingly beautiful, people should not be blind to what is happening here to women. Stop closing your eyes. All you're doing is you're supporting terrorists. Do you think your tourism dollars are helping the local community? The Taliban has their hand in over 75% of every single dollar that they rake in goes to them to continue to funnel terrorists. So you young kids out there, most are college age, liberal fucking freaks from places like Berkeley and San Francisco and LA and Washington State and Portland, Oregon. You deserve what happens. You really do. Your ass gets kidnapped by terrorists and sold into the sex trade. Nobody should give two shits about that because you're so dumb and so stupid that you decided to go touring a place that is controlled by the same terrorist organizations that are responsible for what happened to us on 9/11? Parents, pay attention to what your kids are doing. At least educate them before you lose them. At least try. Look, if they're over 18, there ain't much you can do to stop them. But at least you can say, hey, you know, before you go, maybe you should Google the Taliban. Maybe you should read the State Department's warning. Maybe you should tune in to veterans, combat veterans on social media, like, I don't know, the Douglas Ducote Show, who can tell you what's actually happening in Middle Eastern countries. Maybe, just maybe, it'll save your life. But I doubt it because, once again, it's just like the rest of the left. They double down on stupid. It's a Hunter Biden crack trip. It's gone rogue. And there's not much you can do about it. But say goodbye. Hopefully we see you again. But there will be more and more Americans and other youth from other countries that are going over there and taking these tourist vacations. They're going to find out the hard way. There are certain things that you just don't do over there. And if you do them that you're used to doing in the Western world, you're never going to fucking see your freedom again. And I, for one, am not going to shed a freaking tear because you were stupid enough to go to a place that is riddled with terrorists that want to chop your damn head off. Folks, you had many places to be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. I'd like to thank, again, my guests tonight, Maria Espinosa with the Remembrance Project. I will put up in the description of the show after tonight's show the different links where you can go immediately and click on to go to the Remembrance Project's sites, the websites, their different social media pages. Sign that petition that's going up to President Trump. Maria's had the opportunity to meet with Trump several times. I'm sure she'll be meeting with him again in the future. And they're doing great things over there for victims of these horrible people that Joe Biden and people like liberal judges and liberal DAs and liberal governors allow to go out in the street and harm you. So make sure you go over there and check them out. If anything breaks between now and next Tuesday, I'll be sure to either do a live show or I will do a video about it. Other than that, whatever you're doing this weekend, I hope you're safe. Remember that there are still people out there in America that came here under the Biden-Harris administration that are waiting to kill you, kill us. That's a fact. The FBI under Biden-Harris testified in Congress that that's their worst fear that keeps them up at night, is they know what the Biden-Harris Department of Homeland Security allowed into this country. They caught many of them, and they know there's terrorist cells here right now that they haven't caught yet, and they're trying to before they do horrible things. It's not if, it's when, and it will happen again, sadly, thanks to a bunch of incompetent liberal Democrats that had control of our country. And maybe, just maybe, we can see to it when midterms roll around that they're pushed further and further into oblivious to be able to come back and continue to harm Americans. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, our families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each and every one of you. Take care, my friends. Have a wonderful and safe evening and a wonderful and blessed weekend. And I'll see you very, very soon.